Hello, welcome to the third episode of the Memory Sports Show with Dr. Boris Conrad and Florian Delay. Hi Boris, how are you?
Hello Florian, I'm doing great. It's a very sunny day today here in Europe. How is it over the ocean?
Well, it's very sunny as well. It's in the morning over here, but we can expect a very bright and warm day. So, Let's talk about our subject today.
Let's do
Boris, maybe you can introduce what we are talking about.
We had the idea to talk a bit about how to perform memory, because our memory competitions, as we talked in the prior episodes, often are a bit boring to watch. Lots of people enjoy if there are TV shows where people perform memory, and often seen by millions, and in case of Chinese TV, hundreds of millions of people. And this is often not so easy, because like just looking at numbers for 5 minutes and then recalling them is nothing a TV person will get excited about. And therefore, it's important to know how maybe to make memory TV friendly. And I have the great pleasure that it's now like 10 years, more than 10 years, 12 years since the first time I was on TV. And since every year since then, I was on one or more TV shows all over the world. And currently was the Superbrain franchise from the huge Dutch production company Endemol, going all around the world. More and more memory people also have the pleasure, if they want to, not everyone does, but if they want to go to TV shows, experience that, and by that reach a lot of people. Because maybe you can say afterwards how it was with you, but for me, actually, TV was also how it all started. I saw back then German memory champion Gunter Carsten in 2002 on a private TV channel in Germany, first performing memory and then training a famous German actress. And that convinced me, well, maybe there's something to it, to memory training, and I started practicing. And yeah, that was my way into it, and it's still something I enjoy doing.
Yeah, I actually remember back in, when was it, 2003 or was it 2004, when you were on TV for the very first time at the German TV show Wetten, Das?
Yeah.
Was it the one where you memorized the plates with French fries and wine and these kinds of things?
It actually is, and as we also wanted to try how it works to maybe show the audience a little bit, I actually prepared the video also as a test for us of showing everyone the video works. So let me maybe give you the chance to watch it for a moment. And I now click into the video. Florian, can you confirm that you can see it?
Yes, I see it.
Who we're seeing now is Thomas Gottschalk, the host on the right, and very large, it's Günther Jauch. Back then, also looking a bit younger, still super famous German TV host. And they are now inviting me on stage, where I perform a so-called bet. That was the setting back then. And here I come. 2004 version of
Boris, look at you. You look young, man. You look really young.
Also, wenn es 2, 3 Gerichte gibt.
So back then my task was on these tables. As you hopefully still can see, there are people having some dish and some drink. The number of menu choices was quite limited. Memory athletes will know why, because it was just 10 possible combinations of food and drinks, so I could easily use my number system. And afterwards I will jump now to the recall part, because each memory thing has a recall. The memory part, you see me with this nice glasses.
Yeah, the glasses are awesome. Well, what is there in the front? What's that yellow stuff?
That's fries.
That's actually French fries, but fake French fries, aren't they?
Exactly, yeah. Fake French fries, as also the food was fake, as the people who had to sit there complained about that they couldn't even eat the fries. So here I know.
Orangensaft und Hähnchen. Richtig. Und Mineralwasser und Pommes frites. Richtig.
Hey!
So
that's awesome to see that again. Yeah, I was watching it. Well, it wasn't a live show, was it?
It was live, yeah. But
it was live. Oh yeah, sorry. I actually watched it live there. Yeah, cool. Yeah. Awesome.
So
yeah, you did it all correct, didn't you?
Yeah, I got a little help by the host. It's also part of the show. He's sometimes a bit helpful, and you needed to do 4 out of 5. And I made one mistake, and on the very last one, I started saying something wrong. And Thomas Gottschalk was nice enough. Not every TV host is, but he said to kind of give me a hint that I could say, oh wait, and realize I was one location too far on my memory journey because I was nervous. And then I could fix it, and I won my performance.
Boris, tell me, how was it to be on television for the very first time, being under all that pressure, trying to memorize? And what we know about the memory is that whenever you're under pressure and under stress, the brain creates a lot of stress hormones, which are really counterproductive for the entire memory task. How is it to do that, being able to calm down, still using these amazing techniques? And it's not really an easy task, even for a memory athlete, to do that in a short time with all these people, with all these different foods that you have to translate into your numbers. Of course, it's a possibility if you train that a lot. It doesn't. It's not that difficult anymore. But you just had a few weeks of preparation for that, wasn't? How much time did you have?
Yeah, a few months maybe, but
a few months, right?
A few weeks where I knew definitely I will be on the program. You're right. So one thing is, like with stress and memory, if you have too much stress, that's really bad, but a little bit of stress is actually helpful. So like higher than average level of stress hormones will actually improve your memory in that moment. So that's not too bad.
Oh, really?
But it's like a curve. So if you're over the point, it's really bad. So there's a limit when then nothing works anymore. And therefore, I always advise everyone who has the chance to go to the TV show, do a performance you really feel comfortable with. So it should be something where at practice at home, you're at least at a 9 out of 10 level. So if you practice it 10 times, you should be successful 9 times, at least if it's the first time you do that thing, because otherwise it's all too overwhelming. And it was huge for me. I hadn't been on TV before, and this was the biggest TV show there is in Germany. So it's declined a bit over the years, but back then it was still super huge. Like I remember when the local newspaper heard I will be on the program, that was like the Tuesday before. That meant from Wednesday to Saturday, the local newspaper in my city was like at least having 60,000 people. It's not a village. Every single day, I was the head photo. 5 days in a row, because I am from the city, is on that big TV show. So talk about pressure here. And so that was quite a bit, of course, but I felt confident I can do that. And still, like in the show, I messed it up a little bit. I used one location point twice without noticing, but then could kind of figure out which one it was. But it hindered my performance. Luckily, I still got it done. There were TV shows where it was over the top and I couldn't manage to do it anymore. Therefore, one needs to be careful not to promise too much.
Right. So you memorized the entire thing by translating it into a number system.
That's correct. Like in that show, I had to memorize the orders of 50 people. One person for me got into a 1-digit number, so it wasn't actually more than a 50-digit number. But as you mentioned, I needed to do all this encoding because I didn't get 9, but I got fries with cola. So I needed to encode it into my number system first. But of course, I had prepared that well. And then I couldn't just read it off, and I needed to walk around there. That takes some time, but I had a time limit of, I'm right now, of 4 minutes. So the actual memory performance of 50 digits in 4 minutes wasn't like too bad. Like, do remember it was just within a year after I started doing memory sports. So back then, maybe my training level would be 200 digits in 4 minutes as a super performance, and 150 is average. So 50 is still decent. But with all that extra encoding and TV stuff, it was a challenge, but something, as I said, maybe I could do 90% of the times in training.
Did you think it helped you to get more motivated in memory sports and maybe even a little bit better in performing on stage?
It totally did. So back then I was really shy, and it was a very big thing for me to go on this big stage. And also then after that, suddenly everyone knew me. Like lots of people approached me in the street, and just in very weird situations. Even like I was a football referee for many years, and the game afterwards, when I had my first match a week afterwards, I still remember I had to give a red card to a player for protesting too much. And he came to me like really angry and told me like, because I saw you on TV, you have that super memory, so you could remember every time I criticized you, so you were not neutral anymore. I found that really funny. So you have all these experiences around it, and it was a big thing for me, and it certainly helped keeping me in the sport. And as I know nowadays, it's like led again to other people seeing it, like Annalena Schäfer later told me that she saw that, and that was the reason why she started doing memory sports. So that's always,
So it became like a chain reaction. You saw Gunther Carlsen on TV, then you got on TV, then Annalena got on TV, which she was on TV before, wasn't she?
Yeah, later
Right?
she was on
So
TV.
in Germany, this is pretty big. I think let's quickly talk about how do you think did the television broadcasting of memory performers on television influence the memory sports scene in Germany? Because what we know about Germany is that Germany was one of the first countries that had the national championship, and most of the best memory athletes, at least for a certain time frame, came out of Germany. Nowadays, it's more broad around the world, but for a time frame, Germany was the big country in memory sports.
I think it's only due to TV actually, and I know you know my books. Maybe some people watching know it. I started actually with what sounds like a joke, like a chemist, the famous TV host Günther Jauch, and proposed the not so smart actress meet in some dark hole. And this all starts a fascination for memory in Germany, because it's kind of true. Gunther was back then kind of a lone wolf, having maybe Hans-Josef Steffen, a handful of people competing with him, but on a rather average level, even on back then standards. So no one could tackle Dominic O'Brien and then Ben Pridmore, who were leading the field worldwide. And then Gunther went on the TV show. And this TV show was a super big success. Like, Germany has 80 million people, and like over 10 million people watched this program. So that's a massive rating for a TV show. That actually led to the same TV show having 2 more episodes. They did it like once a year. So in 2002, 2003, and 2004, they had an episode of that each. And every time different memory people performed their memory, not just memory, also mental calculation, and showed by that also what memory sports is.
Right.
What they did well is they also mentioned memory techniques. So they didn't pretend they're geniuses, but told, well, we all can do that only because we learned how to do it. And then they were smart enough to have had founded Memory XL, this amazing club we've got in Germany and some 18 countries. So everyone who watched it and tried to reach out could find them online, could find the webpage of Memory XL, could train, could read for free about memory techniques. And then suddenly the number of people coming to the competitions heavily grew, more and more did. And in the years afterwards, the level in Germany like raised incredibly. Like Johannes Mallow was another one of those who saw it back then, started competing, and more people, some of them still are around, some are not, like Alisa Kellner, I know was back then, Cornelia Bedias, they all watched these programs and started because of it. It actually led to that very, very funny situation that Gunther, who kind of did it to get more attention for his sports and maybe a little more competition, when Germany for the first time ever in 2005, it was won the nation's ranking. Suddenly Gunther wasn't part of the team anymore because only the top 3 qualified for the team, and in that World Championship he was the 4th best German. The amazing thing, of course, about Gunther is like most people would drop out then and think what have they done? But Gunther had the passion to fight back, practice even harder, and then even become the individual world champion. So it's very much.
That happened in 2007, right? That he became the world memory champion.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that was impressive. Absolutely. And well, let's skip forward and see how this all developed then in the following years. We have prepared a couple of videos here.
If you like, what I would love to do is show a bit or talk a bit about how memory can be performed on TV. And I showed you, like I said, I prepared a set of videos for that. Again, I hope it works. So we need the YouTube plugin for that. We tested it before, so I click on it. And I would like to talk about, to all the people watching, it's growing and growing. Hello, everyone. What can you actually do on TV? Because, of course, the first thing you can actually do is you just do what you know from a competition in a little more audience-friendly way. And I will start now a video, which is actually from last year, 2015, 3 Dan Now. That's a TV show on Chinese television where someone every one of you knows, or actually 2 guys every one of you know, compete against each other in speed cards. It's
Can you say that again?
Wang Fong and Simon Reinhardt.
Can you say that?
So let's switch back to talking. So I think the video is still running, but we can talk if everything works. So what we saw here is, of course, even different to what I mentioned before. Both of them competing at highest level possible in like the range of the world record in a discipline they know really well. And you could see here how TV works to make this all more exciting, because I think I will also stop the video now and go back to us. So I hope everyone can now see us again. If I'm right, it should be working. And what we saw in this video is really like highest level possible performance. And nevertheless, the TV needs to do all this cutting and amazing movements with the camera and the sound effects to keep it exciting, because even 20 seconds for a modern TV show is quite long, where people just move cards. And if you don't know what level to expect, yeah, that makes a difference. So that's one thing one can do. And if you didn't show it, we will share all the links. It's all on YouTube. You can watch it. I give you the hint that actually Wang Feng, who back then hadn't competed for quite some time, did manage to perfectly recall his deck in 19.8 seconds, and by that beat Simon's 21 seconds. So I was in the show as well. I also took part in the show. I was sitting backstage watching it, and it was really, really amazing and
wow, yeah,
highly impressive.
Yeah, so he technically broke even the world record there, although this is not an official world record because it wasn't in a memory championship, but it was under supervision of all these people. So
yeah,
very impressive thing to do, especially under the pressure in television, but also for Simon. I mean, he memorized it in 21 seconds. Did he bring the deck correct into order?
Not exactly, but nearly.
Right. All right. So yeah, that's fascinating. This show in China. Can you say the name again? You said it in Chinese.
The show is called in Chinese Cui Xiang Da Nao. That means the strongest brain. So it's very similar to the international name, which is the brain or strongest brain in Germany, Superhirn, like super brain. So it's
right.
also the format, which also actually was first done in Germany and comes from this Dutch company Animal.
So the Chinese bought the rights of the show, and then they redid the show in their own way and own interpretation. And as far what we could see there, they really blew it up to a huge scale with huge audience and huge stage and a lot of, I don't know, it looked like everything is blinking and flashing and colors and so on. It looks amazing.
Yeah.
It really looks amazing. And you have been there yourself. Tell us a little bit how it felt to be on Chinese stage compared to what you were experienced to in Germany.
Of course, for me, a difference here is that I needed to speak in English, that I would be translated into Chinese as well. So of course, it's like another level of processing I won't have on German TV, where I just speak in my native language and it's all easy. Of course, you also know kind of cognitively that like 100 million people will watch it. That's a common viewing numbers they had, which might affect your performance as well if you are influenced by this kind of information. It didn't bother me too much back then because you don't see them. In the studio, there's like the audience of a few hundred, and you have that everywhere in the world. No matter if 1 million, 10 million, or 100 million are actually watching the program afterwards.
Right.
In this show, the special thing was, of course, we competed as a nation, Germany against China. So that also gives this little extra pressure that you want to do well, just not only for you, but also for the team.
Right. You had a little anecdote about how it was when you were several times in China before, right?
Actually, I was on 7 different Chinese TV shows. I was
on 7 already. Wow, that's
I was 3 times on the Wetten Das, which I showed you at the beginning, the Chinese version. I did 3 times, and then I did the Guinness show of world records in China, another 2 times, and then also now 2 times Cui Xiang Da Nao. So I was 7 times on national Chinese TV, and in particular after the first time Cui Xiang Da Nao, that was quite a big thing, because when I came back, actually people like approached me on the airport at the hotel lobby if I'm not that guy from the TV show in China. So that's like experiences we'll always remember. We'll never forget.
Wasn't there another scene you told me about where people were jumping over the fences in order to come closer to you?
Yeah, maybe it wasn't too much of me, but that was during the TV show. And at the end of the show, because the show also had very big Chinese superstars as like special guests, In the clip you couldn't see it, but they would have famous guests like singers, actors. There's a national coach for badminton, which is a very big figure in China, like seated in the first row and then give comments on what was happening. We also had Super Brain in Germany. And when it was over, but also because of us, like really the moment they said cut and the camera went off, like people started to jump over the fence in front of the stage to get on stage, to touch us, to grab you and make a selfie with you. The same moment from all the sides, security was coming in to push them away and just dragged us backstage. That's not yet happening at memory competitions.
So what do you think was the impact of the Super Brain show? Not just in China, I mean, of course, specifically in China, but also worldwide.
I think specifically in China, it had the effect the Grips show had in Germany back then, that within 3 years, the number of Chinese memory athletes grew like from a few dozen to so many thousands that they needed to do like a 3-level qualification system for the World Championships. And that now if you just want to take part for the Chinese team, you have to be really good. That's of course a big thing, and people just know more about it, have seen it, and if you now come somewhere as a memory athlete, you're not just a random guy anymore, but they have heard about it before, they will have an idea roughly, what is it, what do you do? And worldwide, it had 2 effects. One for the like top contestants is that by now, roughly like 30 or 40 had the chance to go there. So I'm not the only one, but if you end up being like one of the best in the world in memory sports and are around at the moment, chances you being invited to China for this TV show are quite big. And if you'd like to do that kind of things and can deal with the attention, it's just an experience of a lifetime. And something, if anyone is watching who might have the offer, I can only highly recommend doing. Additionally, it's also paid well, and that might be a totally different factor that I always think if you perform for TV, you should ask for money for that, because you are also highly delivering them with value and doing something not many people in the world can do. So it can also then help you finance your trips to the World Championships or other competitions afterwards. And that's also, of course, a nice thing. For everyone competing, it also meant, of course, that the level of competition rose, because Chinese now is a really strong team again, and all the other countries fighting for the win, like from US over Algeria to England, Germany, Sweden, have another really strong opponent. And I guess without the TV shows, that would not have happened.
Right. What do you think was the impact internationally in terms of the Chinese show? Was there any?
I think the impact was that other countries also did the show. It came first from Germany, but then got big in China. So it's now happening in many countries all over the world. We have Brazil, Argentina, we have Spain, Italy, the US now, where Luis Angel won with a nice performance. So if, of course, companies in other countries see, well, this stuff works on TV, they will be more likely to adapt it. So being a novel one, being the novel idea holder is always difficult. If you can prove, well, the stuff was really successful in Germany and in China, other countries will then much more easily say, well, let's also give it a go.
And it's already now being transferred into further countries as well. We have Brazil on the list. We have France, and was it Italy?
Italy already was running, Italy and Spain, and France is new, and US just aired and is already casting for the second season. So if you're US American, you could apply with them now for the second season. More will follow. And what I would also like to offer anyone who's watching, like, reach out to me. I've got 12 years of experience with that kind of shows, and I'm happy to talk about your ideas you have, or might give some advice there.
Can you maybe give a little bit of, you already mentioned earlier what you can do when you have an idea. You can just develop it a little bit, write it together, maybe make a video of yourself proving that you can do that and send it to the show. But after you did that, and then the show replies to you that they like your ideas, what would be the next step? What would be wise to do? You already mentioned you should ask for money. Most people have no idea how to talk with a TV or production studio in order to get the best deal out of them. They probably are afraid that they blew their chance when they ask for anything there. So what is your strategy? What do you think should a newcomer who never appeared on TV do when he or she approaches a TV production studio?
Yeah, so you're very right, and I burned my own fingers before I even worked on the show I shot before. I had sent an idea to another TV show. They did the idea on TV, my idea, without asking me. Later telling me, yeah, we wanted to have a girl instead that looks better on TV than you. So I burnt my fingers very early, and after that also had the dedication, like, I want to be there. but I also want them to know that they get something that's worth something. So there are not many people still who can do that. So in my opinion, if you go to a TV studio to do something, you should get paid. That's one thing. How much might be a different question, and there, of course, it might help if you know the show is running before. Like most people will have a contract clause, they cannot disclose how much money they got, and please stick to that. So if you sign that, you shouldn't tell anyone. But that doesn't mean you can't, like in general, give an indication if they will just come up with some money and you have to take it or not, or if it might be negotiable. I guess like these big TV shows usually will come up with an offer right away. And in the last years, my experience is that this offer will usually also be fair financial-wise. What's very important, though, is the different thing, even more than the money. Like, it's nice to be paid. Maybe seek consultancy by people who have been on TV shows. They might not be able to tell you what they got exactly at that show, but they can give you a general idea of what might be paid in a specific market. So maybe US television can pay more than, I don't know, Slovenian TV might be able to. So try to ask people who might have an idea how that could look like. But then again, what will happen is they will try to change your idea. So you're a memory athlete, you will maybe have come up with a great idea. You think looks good on TV. You in particular think can do well, but then they will have a lot of ideas. I can give one example where it went really wrong. What you just saw me doing on German TV, I later did on Chinese TV. I just believed them, they saw what I did in Germany, so it will all work well. However, what happened is they put yellow blankets on the table, because Chinese tend to have a slightly yellowish look on their skin. They put yellow lights to like equal that out. They also used just one form of glasses. So they filled water, beer, and wine all in the same form of glass. And they used white wine, beer, and water. Short story, I could have guessed what kind of drink it is. I couldn't see it. And therefore, my most strong advice is do nothing you could not exactly rehearse. So often these TV people think, yeah, well, you discussed it with the producer beforehand, so everyone will know. Every single time you do something on TV, please demand a full 100% real rehearsal. That means with cameraman, with lights, with makeup, with everything. I know from memory guys who had it, like they did rehearsal, it worked well, but they only did it because they asked for it. So cameras and light wasn't on. And then during the show, they put a huge flashlight on that. So they should read off digits off a screen, but were blinded by a huge flashlight and they couldn't even read it. So there's all the things that can happen. In Germany, we had the opposite thing, that someone suddenly in the live show had the same information to be memorized as in the rehearsal. They had forgotten to switch the information to be memorized from rehearsal to live show. So there are a lot of things that can happen, and therefore you need to be prepared. Don't just go there the day of the show and do it for the first time ever on the stage. Demand a full rehearsal on stage with everything set up. They won't like it. It costs them time. Time is money, but it's so important for you not stressing out, not freaking out, and knowing what you have to do.
Right. I want to add a little bit to that, because I had a little bit of experience myself. I was never on TV, but I was already talking with production studios behind the scenes. And one time I just never heard of them again after I already prepared and practiced, which was really frustrating. The second time I did already do a practice, and then there was complications and they couldn't put me on the show. And another time I wrote them, it's always in different countries, different TV shows who are doing that. And the third time I wrote them my entire idea, laid it out, and never heard about them again, but they took my idea and used it in the show. So the first two examples show that people need to have a little bit of endurance. I think I will get my shot in the future at some point, but I must stay a little bit patient, because they always have just a few slots, and it's getting more and more people doing that. It's still few people, but they have already a little bit of a choice. So if you really want to compete in such a show, you must be a little bit patient and don't give up if it doesn't work the first time. And the other thing is related to my idea that I gave them. I don't feel any grudge about that. Another one used that and it was fine, but of course there's also a little bit of a legal issue, because it's your creative idea, and something like this happened to you as well, Boris? Maybe you can give us an anecdote. You made even a little bit out of money out of it, even if it was basically nothing.
Yeah, it was what I just mentioned earlier. I was on that German TV show, and before I even ever were on the first time on TV, I had applied with another one, exactly the show actually. I had seen Gunther on for a later episode, and they had just told me then, like, your idea is really great, we will do it on the show, but we want to do it with a woman and not with you, because women on TV look better and memory guys are too often men. So then you stand there and have no idea what's going on. What should you do? And for me, it then happened that I said, well, yeah, it's my idea. I find it really bad, but what can we do about it now? And then they at least offered me a little bit of payment for it. So they paid me for the idea. I guess I got a bit lucky there because many TV companies, as we just realized, will just do it anyway. And then there's a problem that ideas itself are not protected, at least by German and also, to my knowledge, at least not by American law. So just presenting them an idea does not prevent them from just taking it. However, where I was lucky is that I had also produced a kind of script of how to do it. Like the idea I had was to memorize couples, like brides and grooms, like people who just married or were about to marry. At that stage, congratulations to Nelson Dallas. We all saw your Facebook post. Well done.
Yes, congratulations, Nelson.
And we had in this TV show then a lot of couples, grooms and brides in their full dress. And like I said, like the contestant and the famous guy should both memorize that. And then later, men on one side, women on the other side, you pair them together. And then you reveal it by saying that all the real couples should kiss now. Just visual thing to be like that. And because this was more than an idea, it was an actual script of how to do it. And they followed my script. By that, I then had a little legal stand. It didn't lead to a big payday, and it was the first time ever for me to have anything to do with TV. So it was a nice start. Other TV producers later told me I could have asked for much, much more, but well, you never know, as you said. And at the end, they will just go with it anyway, and then you can sue them. And yeah, you're just an individual guy, and then suing some large TV channel who have a lot of lawyers and money. Yeah, I don't know what the chances are. You don't want it anyway. You want to work with them and say, well, you loved my idea, I have more, and just make the best out of it and ask them next time to take you instead of just your idea.
By the way, the idea with the bride and grooms, I saw that, but I didn't saw that with the woman. I saw that with Konstantin Skudler. He was my former student.
He did.
Probably they recycled that idea later on in another show, didn't they?
Yeah, later they did not kissing and couples, so they did binaries, just men and women as binaries.
All right.
Yeah, again, a huge number.
Yeah, memory, right? We memory guys.
Yeah.
Always terrible.
It might have been inspired by the other idea, but I don't know.
You have prepared a couple of more videos. Let's proceed and see how this whole developed then.
Yeah, like let's do one thing. What I would love to do is I just showed you the video of Simon and Wang on Chinese TV doing speed cards. So that's a thing you can just do, what you do in a memory competition on TV, and let the TV figure out how to make it more exciting. However, that's not very often going to work. So a first step might be to slightly adapt it by not just normally doing what you do on TV, but finding a way of doing it slightly different. And I think Christian Schäfer, or actually I think Matteo Salvo, was the first one to do it on Italian TV. I don't have the video, but Christian did it then on German TV, beating the performance of Matteo for the TV show. And here it's memorizing speed cards underwater. I hope you can follow the video. I'm playing a video now.
Yeah.
So watch it for a few seconds. Great idea, great performance, also great setup. You see Christian here does speed cards underwater. He had to take one breath, hold his breath, and then do speed cards underwater. But as we know, like top competitors can do speed cards safely in under a minute, and holding your breath for a minute still usually works. That's something you can do. Actually, Christian went on to take a bit more time and also did a bit more than one deck of cards. And also later they find this nice way to show if it's correct or not by comparing the two decks. Let me close it again and come back to you. So that's just another way of how you can present it. You do speed cards or another discipline you're familiar with and just do it a different way. And also just for the fun of you and that you can make some fun of me, that's also fair, I prepared another video, which is my very first Chinese performance. I think not actually the second one, my second performance on Chinese TV. And I promise that on Facebook you will have a moment of shock when you see what I did. Family here, because it's also an example of how things can fail. What you see here, I hope you can see now, the standing image is 100 light bulbs. Light bulbs randomly turned on and off, which, as a memory receipt, are just 100 binary numbers. So it's just in a way of presenting binary numbers in a little more exciting way. Let's maybe run the video for a few moments. Let me quickly comment here something. As you can see by the timer, I have still like over 60 seconds left. I had 90 seconds in total. So I went way too fast. I was way too nervous. You see my hand shaking. And that's actually like what led to the mistake I then later had, that I then had to name.
Guan, Kai, Guan. Kai, Guan, Kai.
So Kai and Guan are just Chinese for on and off. So I had to name these, and I'll jump again for a few moments, because what then happened is that it doesn't always work like you want maybe. And what happened to me is I got stuck a little bit.
Guan,
See how nervous I am?
Guan? Where are we? Sorry, which number are we?
Yeah, I'm sorry. No.
Sorry, why? What's wrong? What was wrong?
Yeah, it's for.
No,
Yeah, I'm sorry. No, 你的挑战失败了。
So have a little fun of young birds. That's fine.
How is that feeling if you are preparing for all that? You're flying to China, you're on television, you're trying your best, you know you can do it, and then I mean that moment where you're asking what was wrong. You even said something in German for a moment. I think no one understood there. What's going on in your head in that moment? Is that completely devastating, or what is it?
Yeah, so
how can you overcome it?
In that moment, of course, I did behave nicely. Like I argued with the host, because I was sure I had it right. What they cut out nicely is that I had made a mistake before, and they told me go back to the beginning of the line. But I didn't listen to them because they spoke English with a strong Chinese accent. And what I had done is I skipped the location. So when they went back to the beginning of the line, in my mind, I was at the right position. So I just went on, and it was first correct because the first ones were correct. And then I kept talking, but then I, of course, was at the missed location. And so I made the mistake. But in my head, I was 100% confident I got it correct. So for me, there's this TV people messed it up again. Like it must be there for it because the image was really clear. That was showing. Now I didn't mess up this image, and then I made the stupid thing to argue with them. Of course, it never looks good. And later, of course, I was totally ashamed and really embarrassed, like that I behaved that way. But in that moment, you really want to do it well, and I was too nervous. I failed. It was all my own fault, and that can just happen. Of course, I was devastated then. I really was. A few people who were with me there, I was really worse. But I learned from it. I learned from it to not try too much, but also not too less. In that show, for example, I tried too less. I wanted to do 100 binaries in I think it was even 2 minutes 30 or 90 seconds, and I reviewed it 5 times. And on some of those revisions, because I was nervous, I skipped the location and then all messed it up. And if I would have just done it properly, look at them once, slowly, do one slow revision, it would just have to be perfect. And therefore, I learned from it. Luckily, back then it was in China, and Memory Sports wasn't big in China yet. So despite me now being confident about it enough to share it with you, no one knows, and that's good.
Well, let's analyze this for everyone else who's going to a TV show, who is preparing, excited, doing it, and then for some reason they fail. What is your advice to those people? What should they do? What should they think? How should they behave?
First thing is, it's not as bad as it seems for you in that moment. For you, you failed it. You all failed it. It's all terrible. But of course, these TV shows wouldn't be exciting for anyone to watch if there wouldn't be a chance of failure. If everyone from the beginning, everyone will make their challenge, no one would watch it. So it wouldn't be exciting. And actually, on this German show, they often vote at the end who is a winner. He gets a big prize. And often enough, it was not the clear winner who just amazingly went through his task like a knife cutting butter, because then the audience will think, well, that's damn easy. It looked so easy. It can't be tough for him. But if someone really goes hard, is really fighting for it, and then just not making it, these guys often win, because the audience see it's an amazing performance and it's on the edge what's possible, and maybe this guy got a bit unlucky, this girl got a bit unlucky, she or he could have done it, but it was an amazing performance. And that's often more exciting for the audience than you see again. It's often also what people will remember more, but they will not remember you as the person who lost it, but they will remember you as the girl or guy who did an amazing job. And therefore, don't worry too much about it. Try your best. And if you try your best, it doesn't matter if you actually make it or not.
I would like to ask another question on top of that, and that is, you won the Super Brain Show, and you made this experience of failing before. What is your show? What is the best strategy to win? These shows have a audience vote, so there is some kind of sympathy involved, isn't it? So how can you use that to your advantage?
Yes, it's a question I find a bit hard. So when I did the things at the beginning already from this Chinese show, you can see I was always passionate about memory. I was always passionate about performance, and people enjoy that when I nowadays take part in the XMT, and I still get excited about I win or lose. And so for me, it never was a big deal. So I just reacted like I reacted. And when I won my task on the TV show, I didn't need to do any acting or anything. I just let out my emotions, and that would be like big cheering and being happy or being devastated if I failed it. And that was just me. And just it's a Super Brain show, it turned out it's what people like. Because if you win your task and just sit there smiling, yeah, I did well. It's again less emotional, less exciting for the audience than when you really go crazy and wild. And like the thing I did at the Brain TV show was quite tough for me, and I was really happy I did it. So I ran to Hannes and Simone, who were in the audience, and Michael, my friends from Memory and family, also cheered with them, hugged the host, and I didn't plan any of that. I was just so happy I made it. And then of course they can feel with you. They're empathetic. They like it that you're happy, and so they're happy with you. And then they will more likely call for you. I think it's really hard to act that. So if you don't feel that and then suddenly try to be cheerful and hug everyone, it will look weird. But some people kind of try to enclose their emotion. They want to jump up and cheer, but think, yeah, maybe it looks weird if I jump up and cheer now, so they better like put it inside and just make a little happy movement, let it out. So that's it's TV, it's visual, it's about emotions. So if there's emotion in you, let them out. Don't make them up, don't pretend, don't act, that will be weird. But if they're in there, let them out. And probably you will be happy if you made it on the TV show, so show that you are happy, and if you feel it, then jump. If you feel to shout, then shout. TV will love you for that, and the audience as well.
I like that advice. It sounds really good. You prepared a couple of more videos for us, didn't you?
Yeah, I wanted to go on a little bit. So we have now just doing it on TVs and doing what you know, like in my case, binary and Christian speed cards in a little different form, but still the same thing. Then you can go a step further. Let me click this one away, and I'm now in the YouTube again and show you Jonas. This is I think I can pause it again to say something. So we will see Jonas von Essen, former world champion on Swedish television. Actually, it's a Got Talent show, another huge franchise running in many countries. Many people think it's really difficult to do memory there because you have these judges sitting there with a buzzer and all the negative emotions and booing for poor contestants, and that's another tough setting. And then again, just having 5 minutes of silence to memorize something won't work. Again, you cannot bring any setup. Like in the other shows, you always saw huge setups. That just doesn't work in these shows. You're on the stage more or less alone. And Jonas did that really nice. He went on the Swedish version of the show. And let me click a little forward here to the actual performance. A little far already, like here. So he's alone on stage. He just gets decks of cards given, and he's not memorizing the deck because it would take too long to memorize it, but he has to make a show out of it. So he has to make a show out of it. He looks at cards now, it looks like he's just memorizing cards, but we will see the clue afterwards. I'll give you the sound of the video again. So
I saw that the first time. That was impressive.
yeah, what he did is like he had a deck of cards and no one was knowing what's going on. He needs to do a memory performance without anyone knowing what's happening. That's really tough. And he did it by taking a deck of cards. But just standing there naming all 52 cards might be amazing, but takes too long for this kind of show. So he needed to find a different way. And he actually did binary. He used the deck of cards for binary, did kind of a card trick. So didn't explain what he does, but did a form of card trick by his memory, memorizing red and black cards, and then doing a little show. That's his personality. It fit really well, putting them into piles, showing them, getting the visual effect, so the audience will like it. And then he also got 4 yeses from the judges on Sweden Got Talent.
Fantastic. That was cool. That was really impressive. I like how Jonas is always able to come up with these creative ideas. He also did that video where he memorized a deck of cards. No, it wasn't a deck of cards. He memorized spoken numbers in a bathtub underwater, similar like Christian did with the cards, but it all looked much funnier because it's not just the performance itself. What Jonas always does is he's a performer. He's really someone who's making people laugh all the time. And that's what I really appreciate about him, because he doesn't just take the memory too seriously, but he always makes a joke out of it. And it's awesome. I like it a lot.
Good. Let's have one other look at another video. Now we see something that sometimes it's actually true that even TV people come up with really good memory ideas. I don't want to blame them. In Germany, we have great companies. They have worked with memory people and come up with great ideas. In this case, Chinese TV also did. And they wanted to have like a really big setting. And I know we have to jump to a specific location into the video. So give me a moment for that. We will see now Nelson Dallas, American memory champion on Chinese TV. And he's actually like fighting a Chinese contestant in a huge maze. So you have to see that. Let me show you. The tone will go to the video again.
Are you playing it? Because I can't see it right now. I can just press the play button.
Either at the moment. Let me try again. Maybe the video is too long for showing it here now. That's a pity. Let me give it one more go. Doing it a different way. I will now share my screen with you. Can you see it now? Florian, can you see it? Okay, cool. So what you can see here is a maze, and they had to memorize this path through the maze, this green line, but also they needed to go to all these blue chambers to find hidden treasures in there. And they had then to memorize which ways they were gone as well, because that was not on the initial list. I play now the video. So that's how it looks like in real life.
Can you make it full screen, please?
So here we have got the jury and the judges again. That's a Chinese contestant and Nelson. So they're memorizing the pass, and let's them now jump in. So we see them now running the way, and they even meet. So it's really like a fight. So they're having the same task on time, and so see where each other are, where the others are.
I knew immediately he was doing the exact same thing that I was. So then from then on, it was a race. My strategy was to go deep, to try and find as many as possible. I needed to explore a lot.
自己心里边是非常非常紧张的，因为不知道对手在什么位置，不知道他有没有拿到指令牌。
Let's come back to you, Flor. Can you hear me again? Can you see me?
Yes, yeah, I can hear and see you.
Okay. So, yeah, another good thing here, people are really fighting in a completely novel idea. So
that was insane. That looked so crazy. I knew that he was doing that, but I actually never really watched the video yet. That was I didn't quite understand. What did he do? I mean, there was this path in the beginning that they were about to memorize, but there was more to it. Yeah. Nelson said something about he had this strategy of a little bit exploring. What was that about?
Yeah, so the main task was you need to memorize this green line, and you have to exactly walk this green line. If you missed one step of the green line or took a wrong step, you would have lost. But then again, on the green line, there were a lot of doors to the side that might be open and which you could explore. Like you would go from chamber to chamber, and there were these red cards that looked like do not disturb cards in hotels, and they needed to find them and collect them. And whoever found more would win. But if you went a pass, you would need to go back the same pass from memory, and you couldn't pre-memorize it. So you maybe go in a chamber and realize the third door is open, then the fourth door, and then the second door. And so you have to memorize the pass while walking until you find a card and then going back the way. And so that was a challenge. So it was getting more cards, and then also if both would have had the same amount of cards on time.
The time they took to go through the maze wasn't important?
It would have been important if they had the equal amount of cards, but the amount of cards was more important. Actually, I got to do it myself. So when I was in China for the show, they let me also do it for like a Chinese magazine surrounding the episode as a first foreigner to kind of test it out for Nelson. I didn't have an opponent. Luckily, I could just go myself and find the treasure. And that's like really, it was so fun. It was so different because I had to come up with my own strategy, but they did an amazing job with the setting, as you could see.
Oh yeah, it looked awesome. Tell me, who did won that contest?
Actually, the Chinese guy did. I think Nelson maybe, I don't want to say mistake, it's at the end also a bit of luck, and the Chinese guy was also a very strong memory athlete. I think Nelson did some mistakes that in the rehearsal he tried a bit too strong, and by that revealed his strategy, so the Chinese could kind of strategy and follow him.
Bad idea. You can always talk about this afterwards, but not beforehand.
Maybe, yeah. But we don't know. I wasn't there. It's so Nelson said it, of course. But it was close. It was a good fight. Everyone loved it, so that was great.
Yeah, it looks awesome. I really have to watch that again. It's on YouTube, right? Yeah, we just watched it there. Yeah, awesome. When did that take place? That was last year or 2 years ago?
It was last year.
So, what do you think in terms of how the Brain Show started to develop? Did you see some learning curve and some excitement curve in what they do with their competitors?
I do think so. So it started in Germany, and a lot of ideas were invented in Germany by German memory athletes, but also German production companies. Then they sold it to other companies in other countries, and these first started by just copying us. Again, you can like it or not, but if you did this idea on the show, they always legally get the right to also do it in other countries with other people. So what I did on German TV, I later saw memory athletes from Spain, Italy, Argentina do in these countries, even though it was my original thing on German TV. But that's kind of okay. I got paid for it. I did my performance there. I had a good time, so that's fine. But then these other countries, of course, wanted to go on and came up with their own ideas. Like maybe they had their own athletes writing in, sending in ideas, but also then, of course, the companies got a better feeling of what works and start to come up with their own thing. And in particular in China, like in Germany, we had 6 episodes in total. It was 1 episode every few months. in China, they make a whole season where like 12 weeks in a row, each week has an episode, leading to the big finals where the Chinese.
Wow, yeah. That's huge.
So they needed like 10 times more ideas than we had in Germany. And they also needed to capture the audience and came up with this massive and huge things and grew it to more and more visual, more and more huge setups. And of course, also by being successful, had more and more money to do really crazy things like this.
We have prepared one more video and the time is already coming to an end. I would like to watch that last video and then maybe we can answer one or two of these questions that we still have here.
I would actually say the last video, I don't even really know to show the whole video. I wanted to mention of one thing to be careful with. Can you see it? So what you actually see here is a video of my own on my own YouTube channel where I explain a task someone did on TV. And there someone pretended to do something he didn't really do. It was a German contestant on the German Brain Show. He did successful on the show, but later he was even attacked in the most boulevard newspaper we have in Germany, Bild, who revealed it's more a trick. So I want everyone in the world to know, don't trick. Don't pretend to do something which is just a trick. So this guy did pretend to solve the chess task where you take the, what's the English name, the horse figure jumper, Springer.
Something like that. It's basically you have the horse,
yeah.
And it's going to all the positions on the field by just using the normal horse movement.
Yeah.
And then at the end, you filled out all fields on the chessboard by not crossing a field twice.
Exactly. So you often see it by stage performers or mental magicians did it already in the 50s and 60s. It looks great. The trick behind it, there is like one loop you memorize with just 64 steps. So you just need 64 keywords. You memorize an order. You get a random starting position. So you just remember, okay, I get C4. 4 is an R. C4 is a car. And then the car is followed by beans. So I take B2 next. So you just follow your loop. It's just a list of 64 words you memorize once. Super simple. I can teach it to a 6-year-old kid in 10 minutes. That's why I did this YouTube video to prove it. Anyone can learn it in 10 minutes. And in the TV show, they make a bit fuss out of it, like pretending it to be a supernatural ability, really crazy. No one can do it. He's the only one in the world who has ever done it. And people don't like that. So my warning is, if you do that, someone will find out, they will blame you for it, and they have all the right to blame you for it. So don't lie, don't pretend.
Right. And it's very difficult, I would say. I mean, in this particular case, it's very clear that there was a pretending going on. But in other cases, and I already know about some things, I can't really talk about that yet, that there are things that the memory athletes are memorizing, and it looks more complicated than it actually is.
That's fine.
But this is something that we always have. I mean, when you memorize the light bulbs, you didn't really explain how you did it, right? While in your head, you group that all together into decimal digits, and then you cluster the decimal digits together, and then you actually memorize just a few images, where it looks like a lot of content that you are memorizing. So there's like a small line of, it looks very impressive, but in the end, the actual memory task is, well, still difficult because you're doing it on stage under pressure on a TV show with a lot at stake. But actually, everyone could probably do it with a little bit of preparation.
I think the one big thing is when they ask me, I do say that. So they will ask me, and I will say, for me, this is like binary digits, which I group to digits and make images of. And there's this method of loci, memory palace technique. So I try to always say that on TV because I always want people to know. As I said, I think TV shows that only show people doing it without explaining do not grow our sport. Our sport only grows with TV shows where people will also say, well, it's not because I'm a genius I can do that. It's actually something you can learn. Luckily, right. The brain program likes to explain that. So they usually have little videos of the memory palace method. So that's great. So I always tell it. I don't lie. So I don't pretend to do something I don't. And it's very good if it looks great, and if it looks more difficult than it is, that's fine as well. Just don't lie. And when they ask you, are you the only one in the world who can do it? If you're not sure, say probably not, and don't say yes, I am.
Yeah, I find that also very important that everyone who's on a TV show, whatever they do, they should always add the little information that everyone could do that it might be difficult and they have to prepare for that, but it's not that they have this out of the world memory, but they're using memory techniques that are easy for everyone to learn and use and apply to any kind of certain task that requires memorizing anything. So that's very important, because only by communicating that, we will be able to spread memory sports, to spread memory techniques all around the world. And this is what we all strive for, right? Because when I remember my school time, it was terrible. I didn't have any memory techniques. I had the most horrible time at school. I had no fun whatsoever. I had no good grades. I was very long in school, longer than usual. And directly after school, I learned memory techniques, thank you very much, and changed my life. But if we can make it a little bit easier for children in school, because they can learn these techniques much earlier, that would be great for everyone. So it's very important that we communicate that. So thank you for all these videos, Boris. I would suggest, since the hour is now kind of up, we don't make it exactly quiz yet, because I would like to answer 2 more questions of our audience here. Some of them have already been transferred from the last couple of shows. Let's quickly skip over them. We have, maybe you want to pick one and I pick one. How about that?
Sounds good. I will pick the one that had the most clicks last time. So I clicked in, so I hope you can see it starting now. It's
wait a second.
Davide, about last time Alex was our guest. He can't answer it now, but he also asked me, so I will give my answer. What's the best strategy for memorizing abstract images? An event many newcomers and memory competitions find really difficult to tackle. It's actually kind of the memory sports version of what we just talked about, an event that looks different than what it actually is. If you're new to memory sports, you will need to look it up what abstract images are. Everyone who has done a competition will have seen them. The kind of trick here is that the patterns in the backgrounds of the abstract images is kind of repetitive. There's something between 100 and 200 different background patterns, and by the different online training methods available, like MemoCamp or what Andy Fong in China uploads, you can kind of quickly find out which kind of different patterns exist. And I think many people, or to be honest, I think everyone who is doing more than 200 images has a method that's based upon using that. So for me, every background pattern leads to 1 image. So each row, 5 abstract images. I actually take 4 images. I ignore the 5th one. The first 4 I make into an image. I put 2 images on 1 location. So each row, that's 2 locations, 4 images. And by the background pattern, I can later decode it. Some people vary it a bit, that they, for example, then sort background patterns. It needs a little more preparation work, but leads to a bit less images afterwards. Looks like there is no clear advantage for either strategy, as to my knowledge, for example, Marvin, who has now the world record in it, does it more or less exactly as I do. So the little tricks, the little advice that leads to performances, as you would see in Alex or mine or Marvin's or other competitors' performance in abstract images is nearly always based upon encoding the background patterns of the images, because these are repetitive, and repetitive information is easy to encode.
Right, and then what they also do is they group it together into 1 image. I think that's important to add there. You're not just having an image for the background pattern and then you memorize 4 images, but at least what Johannes does, he groups it into 1 image. It's a little bit complicated to explain that right now. I know how it's done. Every time I think about it, it twists my brain, and you have a lot of.
I really have background pattern, image location done. So it's that simple for me. I think Johannes groups them. I don't know if anyone else actually does.
Right. Yeah, I would like to answer the question from Ines about the Olympic Games. I kind of see a little relation there with television.
I click myself up so I can answer.
It's the last one on our list, Boris.
So I put it in. It's in now, so you can start entering it.
Okay, yeah. and asked us, why don't we see the memory games, and I think she relates to all memory sports, in the Olympic Games until now. And well, I would like to start with that. I think there's a huge relation to our topic today with TV shows and so on. First of all, the sport must gain a general interest in the public around the world. And the sport is growing, is getting bigger and bigger and bigger, but so far it was a very small niche. And another thing that is very important, Boris, you can probably add a little bit more to that, is that it needs to be a proper sport united in a certain way. Can you explain how that works for the Olympic Committee?
Yeah, I checked it once before, and it's something we're talking about. In the world of sports, as we know, like from the FIFA and all the discussions, there are associations with all up and downsides. And if you want to be part of the Olympics, your the international body of the sport, the federation representing your sport, needs to be represented by the International Olympic Committee. First step into that, it's Sports Accord. You can look it up on Wikipedia or the internet. Sports Accord is like the International Association of International Sports Associations. Like the FIFA will be a member, and the International Tennis Federation, and the Ice Skating Federation, and the Heavyweight Lifting Federation. And chess is a member, Go is a member, and I think bridge is a member. But these so far are the only mind sports. Go also, Go and Chinese Go. So there are 4 or 5 mind sports in there. And if we would want to see memory going down the way towards the Olympics or these big events, memory needs to be a member of that. The issue is, to become a member of Sports Accord, your federation needs to have proper democratic structures. So it needs to have a democratically voted council or head. Like, you can argue, of course, in the FIFA how democratic everything is. They just had the vote again on this Friday. They do have a vote. They have representatives. In memory sports, we don't even have that. So if you want to see memory achieve this, we need a democratic association with elected officials. It might not eliminate all the problems you see in other federations, but as long as we don't even have that, we will not come there. It also means, by example, I think 70 national associations need to exist. I think we know 20 or 30 countries represented at the World Championship, which is great, but for being such an international acknowledged body, something like 70 nations must take part, and these nations already must have a national council in their nation that's, again, elected and democratic. And so it's a big structure. You need a lot of things. Memory is growing, so we might get there. We're not there yet.
Right. So there's still a long way for us to go. And I guess the quick answer to all of that is we must work together and find new ways and structures to unite memory sports in a way that it fits these needs in order to join the Olympic Games in the future. I'm very optimistic that this will one day happen, still in our lifetime, and I can't wait to see us on stage trying to battle against the entire other countries. This is an amazing dream, and the Olympic Games are, of course, the highest sports, the biggest sports event with the most people watching it, with the greatest acknowledgement in the world. And memory sports is certainly something that could and should enter the Olympic Games at some point. But I see that at the moment it's a little bit difficult. But that doesn't mean that we cannot do it. So let's work together, look forward, and make it happen at some point. And I think that's a really good way to end our show for today. Boris, thank you so much for preparing all these videos. I hope it worked. I'm not quite sure if everyone was able to see it, but we will put it, like you said before, in the comments, in the description on YouTube, so you can click on all these videos yourself if it wasn't possible. Also, if it was possible to watch all these shows in their entire length. The next Memory Sports Show will come eventually, probably with another guest then. We don't know exactly yet. There are so many options what we can do, but I really enjoy this format. Boris, thank you so much again to make this happen. And yeah, anything else you would like to add here?
Just say thank you myself. So a lot of people watched again. That's really great and good motivation to keep going. Thank you, Florian.
Thank you, Boris. Take care. Talk to you soon.
Perfect. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.